Hi, Mike and Arlen, our Philippine journey. I've got like 30 minutes to create all of this before I go to edit because Arlen's in the middle of making a absolutely tremendous dinner. Prenups, postnups, marital agreements, community property, exclusive property. Does any of that apply in the Philippines? You bet your ass it does. All right? So stick around. Let's talk about it.
I never got it, why'd you have to go? I guess this world's too slow for you. I think there's beauty in the gray, the cold, but you just want the gold. And there's no way I can beat it, cause I got no chance, no chance when it comes to her. She got the glitter and the fame, and I just wasn't enough.
Okay. A couple of disclaimers that I have to put out there. Number one, we're not lawyers, attorneys, paralegals. We've never practiced law, but I've used a lot of attorneys over the years. Okay. Our information comes from online sources plus interactions I've had with our attorney. Number two, as with anything, we suggest, because we don't know when you're going to be watching this and what's happened in the course and change of events and laws, all right? We always suggest, we always maintain, get a good lawyer, all right? Number three, we're going to be using some interchangeable terms, all right? And we're going to give you a link to a very good article and website that gives you some very good layman breakdowns of property and what happens in the Philippines. But let's go forward with what we've got. All right. Premarital agreements, all right? Marital agreements. That's what they're actually called here in the Philippines, all right? Those have existed, prenups, for layman's terms, have existed for decades, absolute decades. Anybody that tells you otherwise is full of shit. They just don't know what they're talking about. Anybody that says it wasn't enforceable or they got screwed on it, that's because they had a bad lawyer set it up. It's because they didn't identify it. It's because they actually went online and got a prenup. All right. There are actually Filipino marital agreement examples and boilerplate language online. You can Google this shit. I don't make it up. All right. Now, all of that as a basic pillar of what we're going to talk about here. Why would you need a prenup? Well, I'm going to give you a couple of good examples. And I'm going to throw out some terms that we're going to have to explain a little further on. Number one, community property versus conjugal property. All right. Without a prenup, everything you own and everything she owns becomes community conjugal property. Okay. Now, it's conjugal property. She owns a piece of it, you own a piece of it. So let's say you came to the Philippines and you never intended to get married again, but you did want to settle down in a specific area. Okay, great. And let's say you bought a condo. All of a sudden, you met the woman of your dreams, the most perfect woman. And you ended up getting married. Okay, that's great. If you don't put in a prenup that exclusively says that, hey, I bought this condo with my money prior to the marriage, I owned it, in the event of a legal separation or dissolution or annulment, you'd have to use annulment at this point because divorce isn't legalized yet. It's very close, but not yet. All right. It remains with me. If you don't specify that to begin with, all right, she now owns a part of it. Now, it's very complicated, a lot of complications in here, way too much than we can go into in this. But that's one reason. All right. Number two, and that doesn't mean that you can't do that. You have that prenup. The idea behind the prenup is to exclude from conjugal property any assets. And one of the reasons some people may want to do that is, like, for instance, you may have family back home, and a condo you can leave to your children, to their trust, whatever, and put a management company in front of it, and it provides a little piece of monthly income. That works. We know people that do it. Okay, so there's another reason. Now, there are things on the Filipino side that you will never get as conjugal property, community conjugal property, that are excluded automatically. Inherited or gifted land. So land that was gifted to your wife or she inherited, you can never have that. That's automatically excluded. But talk to your attorney to clear all of these things up, okay? Now, the next thing that you have to take a look at is what happens if you got married in the U.S. Well, if you got married in the U.S. and you went and filed the certificate through the Philippine embassy and it was registered as a marriage here in the Philippines, now and at that point, all those same rules apply. Every bit of them. Just because you buy something, like we have a friend who says, oh, you know what? I bought this condo. I intend to leave it to XYZ if I die. And I bought it with my money. And it's in my name. I can leave it to whoever it is. Nah. Unless it's in a premarital agreement, a prenup, that doesn't happen. So, if you're married overseas, yes, it can apply. If you're married here, it automatically, immediately applies. As soon as you get recognized here, okay, it's going to apply. So if you're going to come here and you're going to get a 13A visa, well, you're going to have a Philippine recognized marriage, which falls under the laws of the Philippines. Now, again, some of those things may change because divorce is this far from coming around. I think it's going to pass, but that's a whole nother argument. We reported on this over a month ago when it passed the Senate and then when the House panel agreed on it. But hasn't been passed as a final bill, and we're not going to go into the legislative how it works, okay? All right. Now, postnups. Yes. Suppose you are married here in the Philippines and you want to buy a condo with your money. All right? But you don't want it to become conjugal property. Well, you can do that. You have to have a postnup. Again, drawn up by an attorney. Do it the right way. Don't download these stupid example forms that some idiot put into Word format out on the web. Okay? Just don't do it. Get an attorney. Absolutely. Now, what happens to property in the U.S.? Property in the U.S. falls under U.S. property laws. By the way, I should mention, if you're enjoying this video, if it's informative, how about subscribing to the channel? It would certainly help us. And please do hit that thumbs up. It would make a lot of difference to us as well. All right, so starting to close this out. Prenups, do they exist? Absolutely. Are they enforceable? Absolutely. Have they been around? There's so much case law about it. You think these actors and actresses and senators and governors don't have prenups? You think these rich people don't make their children get prenups? to protect assets that have been in generations of family, think again, buddy. All right, buckaroo. Now, postnups. Do they exist? Yep. Are they enforceable? Yep. Where do you get them? You go to a family law attorney, and you go to a good one. Don't go to my cousin's stepson, all right, who just passed the bar. Go to a reputable family law firm, or a large firm that has an entire section of family law amongst other sections. All right. Please do not ask us to recommend one for you. We would feel horrible to recommend one to you and something happen. That's all I can say. We used one of our law firm is actually a U.S. law firm. It's an international law firm based out of Chicago. But they have on staff an agreement with international law firms across about, I think it's like 14 countries. And the Philippines is one of them. So they use Filipino legal law firms here. Therefore, we know they exist because we've dealt with them. Now, what else happens here with prenups? Well, that's it. That's all. That's all there is to tell you, because it's all we can tell you. We can't tell you they exist. We can tell you your property may already be at risk. Now, the law changed in 1988. So if you were married before 1988, the law is different. The family code changed in 1988 with respect to property. I'm going to include the link to this article, this website, and below. And then we'd like to know your comments. Have you had any exposure with prenups? Do you know anybody here that's had exposure to prenups? What do you think about it? In the comments below, let us know. Otherwise, we hope you have a great day. Thanks. Bye.